So, transformation leadership. And why transformation leadership? We often expect a lot of things to change around us, a lot of people to bring about that change, and what it takes to change yourself. I feel the biggest change one can make is to self. And the transformation, personal transformation, is one of the toughest journeys I feel for individuals. And those who do that become leaders, and those who make that their habit become transformational leaders. What is the need? Why do we need to do this? Uh, Transformational leadership have been historically challenging the status quo. And the moment you feel that the status quo need be challenged, the leadership starts, the change, the transformational leadership starts. And what has happened as a result of transformational leadership? Countries have been liberated over decades and centuries from slavery. And major breakthroughs have happened to improve lives of people. People have reduced weights, people have changed themselves, right? But if I look back at a couple of decades, last few decades, I feel the following innovations did transform people's life by large. E-commerce, for example, changed the way people shop globally. Instant delivery has moved from comfort to delight. And today, for a youngster, it may look very natural. A generation beyond, the way things we were shopping was very different. What has it brought? Saving of money to every individual who's involved, saving of time to every individual who's involved, fuel, physical movement. Imagine millions of hours saved every day. And if they all become productive, how productive the world could be, you know. Digital payments, I think digital payments did start maybe a decade and a half back around the world. But the momentum it gathered post-COVID or during COVID worldwide, more so here, has changed the way people carry money. People used to carry money, physically carry money, and educate people digitally. And how much it has transformed. A speaker talked about AI. I mean, use of algorithms can map brains, can modify how we ourselves and the behaviors, how we teach and impact of that, and how we could study that. When we talk about who brings the change, what is typical of those leaders who actually do that? How they operate? What is their modus operandi? Clarity of purpose is one, I feel, very sold out to the very idea they are going to bring the change about, or changing the status quo. And sometimes they don't define it that way. It's their goal, the purpose. And as we observe, of not very far from this land, there's been a leader who transformed industrial landscape, also as a case study, which is taught in many global universities. Around 2007, decided to go global. At an age of 70 plus himself, he's been a first generation businessman. And he bought over a global company 2 times his size, present in 100 countries. And 2008 came the global recession. Herculean task. He was very clear what he wanted. He wanted that global footprint. He wanted to scale up expectation of his leaders, his team, and everybody involved with that business. Next 12 months, he sat with his leaders, chalked out a roadmap, sent them around the world, actually transformed that company from red to black globally. You could go through the case study of some of famous universities and understand more. If you ask me, we hear some big names in the country, but if you take this case study, it's transformational in India's business history. One is clarity, then developing and leveraging the process. Why? Why do they do this? Typical transformational leader would be speed leaders. They know what bottlenecks come. They know what sags the moment And it's not just about business leaders. Honestly, it's also about leadership in general. If they are after something, they know what will stop it, and they know faster it is done, better it is done. So why they are speed leaders and how they become speed leaders is that they're very quality focused, which is doing right things and doing them rightly all the time. And then, of course, when you come to specifics, those things could be further defined. Then they are very, very process focused. So they are very clear in their mind from point A to B to Z, what is the sequence of how it is to be done most efficiently. And since they are very clear and they design the process itself, and then they leverage both. And the other thing is that because they are that ownership mentality, it becomes easy for them to own everything, every success, every failure. And with that focus, they keep going, and then they start pulling people with them. And other thing is quick and rational decision process. More often than not, if we observe leaders who are at move, you will find them take the right decision for the cause. If it annoys somebody, it does. If it makes somebody happy, it does. They are not into that detail because the purpose is very clear, and that makes them very rational and a behavior which others can follow. They're very solution oriented. So I've had a fortune of working with many of top industry leaders, and I found one thing common. They don't remain in the problem too much. They quickly diagnose it. They quickly understand what the solution is, and they stop talking about the problem and start working on the solution the moment the problem comes. So how about us? How could we digress? As I was in the room, I was hearing wonderful speakers talking about a lot of things, right? From individual issues to how the thought processes are, or how an incident, how Wi-Fi or a message would change a decision process up to life or death, right? Finding that solution all the time is a leadership trait, more so with transformational leaders. And how do we distinguish the both? And I'll talk about it. Another thing I've found about uh, transformational leaders or leaders who are driving change is they respect the outcome, and they don't are in sympathy for others all the time. So when you talk to them, they'll often tell you when somebody walks into the room from the body language, and when somebody starts uttering a word, they know, is this guy here to gain sympathy or respect? If he or she is there to gain sympathy, they'll at most get an ear and no reaction. And if they had an issue but they have a solution, that's when the respect starts, and that's when they get into action. Bring out the best from people, and that's a trait. Whatever I've talked so far, they are being rational, quick, leading by example, create followership. And that makes it easy that people give best to them and they can unlock those potential. And each individual is different from another, and you need all of them. I also saw a book, Don't Hire the Best, and read that it's not always have a lot of talent, everybody very talented, may not make an organization, perfect organization. So the leaders understand this, and they raise up the potential of people and get the behaviors they want. Typically, in a change journey, leader knows that failure will come. Failure will come, and they embrace the failure because they know the process. There will be more failure than the success. So they have to go through the failure quickly so that the success comes quickly. I was hearing a tennis leader talking on a reel. His success rates on point has been 54%, which means failure has been 46%, almost same as success. But they went through the process, and I'm talking about people who are champs, who are world champs historically, right? high on engagement. They're not so bureaucratic, transformational leaders. They'll talk to every level of the organization. They'll have an ear to everybody. So they do it for two reasons. One, they want to know what's going on. And two, they healthy high communication, because then the voice of everybody comes back. Speed of action reaction is very, very fast. And they can course correct if there is something human or a cultural thing. At the same time, it also fosters a camaraderie among ranks. Focused, they don't lose their razor sharp focused in any circumstance. They know people will slow down, people will get tired, weary, down, and some out. And they know they have to put some anchor down, but they know how to cover it. And we did talk about the process or their end-to-end mapping of the process. The biggest quality of any leader or a transformational leader is that leaders breed leaders. Even when if you calculate it mathematically, impact people or human power brings to any organization, any change, any journey is maximum by human. You can invest in infrastructure, you can invest in education, learning, all. But developing right leadership behaviors, if that starts multiplying in an organization, doesn't matter, family, school, college, business organization, nation, right? Society. We know some cities are most clean cities in the country. So somebody took leadership of fostering that behavior in that city. And while other cities know it every year, which city is that? They don't move a place for 10 years, 5 years, 7 years. So why? Because the leaders have this ability to have that shared vision with a lot of people who become leaders in themselves, and in turn create leaders who create more leaders. And creating and sharing fruits of change depends what transformation is being brought. Like I said, somebody maybe with a business motive started e-commerce. The impact is everybody gained. Every subject of that gained. So if it is a business organization, the fruit of change could be wealth. But if it is not, if you are liberated, if you are uh, changing a system, a process, the fruits of change are distributed. And that's the first thing in a leader's mind when he or she brings a change. And I did talk about embracing the failure. They know failure will come. They don't like failure too, but they know it has to come. Now, next step is, if I've gone below a sine wave at the trough, the only way they can go is they can go up. And I've heard many conversation of leaders on TV, on media, and you would have heard too. I thought if I've reached here, the only way I'm going is go up. So they understand that very, very clearly. I know on this subject, 8, 10 points or 5, 7 points won't be enough. And a book could be written about transformational leadership. And there are many written already. I think all of them are very good. But if I have to sum it up, considering my time in mind, leadership is not a entitlement. It doesn't, you don't inherit leadership. Positions don't give you leadership. I feel leadership is very, very personal. The only humbleness I think a person has to bring is that every leader at some time in their life is a follower. Somebody, people follow, start with their parents, teachers, and I know there are many in the room. Or somebody, their hero. So people start following a behavior pattern, characteristic. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how humble, how timid, how worried you feel. I think most of leadership journeys are the biggest, most formidable leaders worldwide we know have been very, very docile, less communicative, lack confidence. That has been the profile. I can take a few names, but you could find out yourself. Your country, your territory, your area. The only thing I feel a leader does is bring the change, challenge the status quo. Because even if everything is right and status quo doesn't change, you tend to go down. And enabling change for a better world. And I always believe and learned that we could start with whatever we have, whoever we are, wherever we are in our journey. Doesn't really matter. We don't look that confident, talking perfectly all right. We don't feel we could communicate perfectly all right. And then you take the first step and the next one and the next one and the next one, and another leader arrives and another leader arrives. Welcome to the leadership. Thank you so much.